In the Pac-12 championship game, Oregon beat USC 31-24. And the outcome does not surprise me in the slightest. Oregon is better up front. Oregon is better in short yardage on 3rd and 1, on 4th and 1, on the goal line. And so shout out to Oregon. It's their second year in a row winning the Pac-12 title. They are back-to-back champions. It's kind of funny. There were rumors circulating that maybe Oregon head coach Mario Cristobal would go to Auburn. I laughed at that. I said, no way. I mean, why would you leave a really good, secure job in Oregon where you're dominating to go to Auburn? It didn't make sense to me. And then, yeah, Mario Cristobal signed a long-term contract extension with Oregon. Yeah, I'm not shocked. Mario Cristobal is in a great position to really, he's building a program there that's slowly but surely, I believe, going to become nationally recognized, and he's going to dominate the Pac-12. And, I also want to say it's kind of interesting. The backstory to this Pac-12 championship game, the Pac-12 botched the whole year. UW was supposed to play in the conference championship for represent the Pac-12 North. They got a COVID outbreak, so Oregon came in to substitute for them. And now Oregon at 4-2 is the Pac-12 champion. So the Pac-12, I think the problem with the Pac-12, first of all, the Pac-12 is very competitive. It's actually, if you watch the Pac-12 in a vacuum, it's really entertaining, fun football. Like, feels like any team can beat any other team. There's not really a dominating force in the Pac-12. Oregon historically, I think, is dominated because of Chip Kelly's days and then the Mark Helfrich era briefly. And, Oregon is back on top again. Like, Oregon has been the dominating team recently, but even they haven't been dominating and crushing other Pac-12 schools. And that's kind of the problem with the Pac-12 is that there's no top dog who dominates everybody else, and therefore there's no top dog who can hang nationally with Alabama and Ohio State and Clemson. And so on a national level, the Pac-12 is in trouble because although Oregon is making progress, and I like Oregon, again, they don't have a top dog. And if anybody, it is Oregon, but Oregon's still a year or two away from becoming a team that is on the national stage. They're headed that direction, it feels like, but Oregon is not competitive with Alabama or Ohio State or Auburn. Now, the game itself, Oregon had a unique package I want to give them credit for. They had their backup quarterback, Anthony Brown, a senior grad transfer from Boston College. Hadn't played at all this year. They put in this package against USC where, Anthony Brown was playing quarterback on 3rd down and 4th down and the goal line on short yardage situations. Anthony Brown was 3 for 4 passing. He had 2 touchdowns. It was a very, very effective package. I'm like, to be a senior grad transfer quarterback who hasn't played all year to suddenly have 2 touchdown passes, that's pretty cool, pretty exciting. I also want to give a shout out to Oregon running back Travis Dye. He had a touchdown catch. And I love that Travis Dye wears no accessories, no wristbands, no fancy stuff. He's just a guy who plays hard and is a dude who is a very, very good football player. I like Travis Dye a lot. Personality, playing style, everything. He's a really it feels like a blue-collar guy who I really like his style. Now, most of my notes from this game were about USC. Oregon, Tyler Shove, the quarterback for Oregon, was not that impressive. Like, there's not a lot of stuff I go, wow, Oregon. A lot of really felt like USC just botched a lot of stuff. I mean, a couple of USC's key playmakers in this game had some costly mistakes, and USC simply made far too many mistakes to win this game. But I do want to start with the good news. The good news is that I love watching USC receiver Drake London play football. He's a sophomore. He's listed as a receiver against Oregon. Had 8 catches for 75 yards. I say he's listed as a receiver. He's really operates kind of like a tight end in this Graham Harrell USC offense. He gets a lot of catches over the middle. He's a big physical receiver. And he works as a security blanket for the USC quarterback, Keaton Slovis. Shout out to Drake London. He's awesome. I love him. And I haven't really given him a lot of shine this year, so I want to give him a shout out before the year is now over. Now, a lot went wrong for USC in the Pac-12 championship game. They missed a field goal. They couldn't run the ball. They ran the ball literally 28 times for 38 yards. That's terrible. And, at the end of the first quarter, for example, they had a 4th and 1. Really, it was 4th and 6 inches. Like, it was 4th and nothing. And ball on the 43-yard line going in, trying to keep your drive alive. and USC got stopped in the backfield. They actually lost yards. I mean, USC cannot do anything in the running game in short yardage situations. And next year, I want to see USC evolve their running game. It's really important that they improve on 3rd and 1, on 4th and 1, on the goal line. They do not run the ball effectively, especially in short yardage, and it's not good. And I really hope that USC looks at Oklahoma's head coach, Lincoln Riley, and steals some of the schemes he's running at Oklahoma and implements what they're doing with their offense and transitions a little bit of what they're doing. They need to expand their offense and evolve their running game. It's a huge deal that USC can figure out how to do that. Otherwise, they're going to have a ceiling forever and a hump they can't get over at USC. They can put up big numbers and win a lot of games, but there is a ceiling because they don't do well in short yardage. It's a cap to the ceiling of USC. Now, by the way, USC star safety Talanoa Hufanga, guy I love, great player, had a bad game in the Pac-12 championship against Oregon. He missed a tackle on the goal line that cost USC a touchdown. Gave up a touchdown. He dropped an interception in the end zone. That another costly thing. And then he had a really important and I guess the word costly is the thing here, but I feel like every mistake Talanoa Hufanga made in this game was a big, impactful one. He had a roughing the kicker penalty that kept a drive alive for Oregon on 4th down, and it led to later an Oregon field goal. So Talanoa Hufanga had a bad day. And then the hardest part of this game for me, I hate saying this because I love the guy. My favorite quarterback in college football, Keaton Slovis, had a bad day. And he had 3 interceptions. I don't know that bad day is the right way to put it. Like, Keaton, if you're watching, I love you, man. And it was just tough. He's only a sophomore. He had some good learning moments. He had an interception where he left the ball too far inside. I'm not going to break down his interceptions. In the first half, both of his interceptions led to Oregon touchdowns. And then later, however, despite all the mistakes USC made, Talanoa Hufanga, the botched 4th and 1, the missed field goal, despite all the problems USC had, they actually had an opportunity to tie the game up in the 4th quarter. And Keaton threw a great deep ball down the left sideline to Brew McCoy. Brew McCoy, it's right in his breadbasket. Great ball. It's on the 7-yard line, and Brew McCoy drops it. And you're like, oh, man. It was literally like a beautiful throw over the shoulder to Brew McCoy, and he dropped what would have been likely, would have either been a touchdown or set up a touchdown to tie the game for USC. Instead of the touchdown, because of the drop by Brew McCoy, it was a costly drop because later in the drive, Keaton was trying to throw the ball away out of bounds. It looked like the ball got away from him. It drifted a little too far inside near the sideline. Oregon grabbed it for an interception. They reviewed it. It was overturned. It was ruled incomplete, then overturned on the review, ruled an interception. Ball game. USC lost the ball in their final possession. And dang it, man. I was watching just so my favorite quarterback. I was really disappointed. It's unfortunate. But I think in spite of the 3 interceptions, I know people look at the stat line and judge harshly. Stats are not everything. I thought Keaton played very well other than those 3 mistakes, which are costly. And I'm sure he takes it pretty hard. I love the guy. It is worth noting, though, that late in the game, USC's best receiver, Amon-Ra St. Brown, was out of the game with an injury. So that definitely didn't help USC. Now, USC has opted out of a bowl game. Their season is over. They finished 5-1. Kind of the big takeaway from this year is that, USC quarterback Keaton Slovis had a great year. I mean, he had 3 fourth-quarter comebacks. That's 3 of the 6 games USC played. At least half of them were games where Keaton Slovis rescued and saved the day in the 4th quarter with great throws at the end. And that's, if you're going to say anything about your year, at least you can say that. That's pretty great. And unfortunately, the comeback couldn't be made against Oregon. But to have to ask your quarterback to make 4 fourth-quarter comebacks in 4 of your 6 games, I understand that part of the problem was Keaton put them in the hole with interceptions against Oregon. Fair enough. But, your quarterback shouldn't be having to rescue the day every single game. And that's not all on Keaton. He's a sophomore quarterback. You can't put it all on him. And the reality is, in my opinion, I thought USC kind of overachieved this year. They had problems on the offensive line. They had discipline problems on defense. They had all kinds of little problems. And they barely beat Arizona State. They barely beat UCLA. They barely beat Arizona, who was 0-5. So I thought that USC, the word is overachieved. They had an undefeated record. I don't know that they were as good as their record really showed. And the fact that Keaton Slovis had to keep rescuing USC, it's just not a good thing. I mean, your team shouldn't mean to be rescued by your quarterback every single week. And their quarterback helped hide some of their larger problems all around their program that I hope get addressed this offseason. So USC 5-1. Keaton's a darling, man. He's my favorite quarterback in college football. Love the guy. He's a former first-round quarterback, in my opinion. We'll see how he keeps progressing, but I think the ball got away from him a little bit this year. Little stuff to work on, but I'm a huge fan of Keaton Slovis. I was sad to watch USC lose. It's one of the first games all year I was just watching as a fan, really, really rooting for USC, and it didn't happen on Friday, so I was pretty sad about that.